Dozens of people of East African descent have been charged, convicted, and sentenced for stealing more than $1 billion in taxpayer money from government programs. As you know, Governor, that is more than Minnesota spends each year to run its Department of Corrections. So I want to give you a chance to respond to this. Do you take responsibility for failing to stop this?
The answer is no. He doesn't take accountability for this happening under his watch. Which, in my opinion, he absolutely should be. It's not like, it'd be different if he was the president and something happened, but Minnesota isn't the United States. The population of Minnesota is under 6 million people. So it's not like he's managing 50 states in a country of 300 plus million people. And it's also interesting to see him run from accountability. Because yes, that absolutely happened on your watch. And there were people who came into our country who were taking advantage of the taxpayers in this country. And he wants to seem to take no accountability for letting that happen under his watch when he was governing. Again, in a state with under 6 million people. And I was actually going to have a little respect for him if he was like, yes, that's on me. We need to do better. We need to do better with our systems, do better how we monitor. We need to get on top of this and make sure it doesn't happen. But that's not what he said. Then he went on to talk about, demonizing people as a whole for committing fraud. He kind of pivoted it to Republicans and Trump, whatever. But what he didn't do is take accountability for his state failing to stop this from happening. And it's pretty telling. I mean, he's running from accountability, essentially. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's Tim Walz. What do you expect?
Tim Walz seriously read, but I struggle to find a better word to describe the man who knowingly defrauded the American citizen, the American taxpayer, out of billions to send to Somalia. And then if anyone said that they were going to speak out against it, he allegedly threatened them. And this is according to...
Yes, this cannot hide for a very long time. The View takes issues with Trump calling out Tim Walz brain functions after he allowed his constituent to defraud the federal government of hundreds of millions of dollars. They read out accusations of fraud against Trump, but co-host Sonny Austin's husband had to settle an insurance fraud claim earlier this year after he was wrapped up in one of New York's largest RICO cases. I believe this was everywhere on social media. They had a segment today reacting to what Tim Walz is doing here. Instead for these people to call him out, they instead went after Trump for calling him names. That should tell you a lot about these people. Sometimes I wonder if they will be able to one day even be responsible to call out truthful things. We have seen this is true, but the View will never acknowledge that because this man is a Democrat. It is insane. Consider this guy was Republicans. The View will sing like a song. That should tell you a lot.
To send to Somalia, and then if anyone said that they were going to speak out against it, he allegedly threatened them. And this is according to Minnesota Department of Human Service employees who 480 of them plus took to X to post this huge thread that went hugely viral, has like 35 million views. And they say that staff flagged early on in programs like behavioral health, disability, housing, food, and childcare. And then Walz's appointees prioritized image over action because they were afraid of racism or discrimination accusations against the Somali community. That's like seriously retarded. Like, that's so stupid. You're so scared of being called racist or discriminating the Somalis, so you're going to allow for fraud to happen. He also allegedly took retaliation against any whistleblowers and said the employees took to X to say that tactics included monitoring, threats, resignments, discrediting reports, and even targeting families. The employees say that they felt scared and isolated with no safe outlet. Tim Walz also disempowered the state auditor's office, allowing agencies to ignore audits. ARPA funds were mislabeled as surplus to create jobs for Walz allies. Masking deficits, so like lying. And of course, no DHS leaders have faced any consequences, so these employees appealed to federal authorities for help. The New York Times covered this story. So I don't know, I think that's pretty seriously weak. That's so wrong, but that's Tim Walz's voter base. So he appeals to them. The Democrats are actively working against you. Tim Walz was Kamala's VP pick. Tim Walz was about to be the second most powerful person in our country.
Yes, if you are wondering where these informations are coming from, this page posted this on X. Tim Walz is 100% responsible for this massive F in Minnesota. We let Tim Walz know of the F early on, hoping for a partnership in stopping F, but no, we got the opposite response. Tim Walz systematically retaliated against whistleblower, using monitoring, trade, repression, and did his best to discredit F report instead of partnership. We got the full weight of the retaliation by Tim Walz, certain DF members, and indifferent mainstream media. It's scary, isolating, and left us wondering who we can turn to. They actually posted this, exposing Tim Walz. The guy spitted out of control.
Now look, if wrong, you gotta catch up with everybody. You know, this is, you know, Tim Walz said, I put these people in jail.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we sat around and didn't do anything. And the horrific part is, why is he painting all Somali Americans with this paintbrush?
It's not a Republican issue. We all either have someone in our family or know someone or know a family.
Or have been raised well enough not to do that.
Yeah, but we have people that are differently abled in all of our families or all of our friend groups. And so it's horrible that he's trying to normalize those kinds of slurs against that community. But Indiana GOP state senator says he will now vote no on redistricting after Trump used the slur because his daughter has Down syndrome. And so, again, it is not a political issue. No. It's a human issue. And to what Walt said, you know, I can't look into this president's heart, but I can look at his actions, and he is behaving and acting as a horrible human being.
Well, and as Governor Walz said, you're concerned about the playgrounds. As a parent, you're worried about what your kids will hear at school. You know, you don't jump straight to what if the president says something like that. But I also think when you have a parent, and Anna, you can speak to this, or a loved one of someone who is disabled, their number one concern is not that the child or the person has a disability, it's how the world will treat the disability.
Yeah, I believe you heard them. This is something that happened. Instead of The View to address it normally, like they're not doing that. Instead, they went ahead to call out what Trump has done. Oh, what Trump was found liable of this. Trump was found liable of this. You can't correct something by accepting the something. If you believe what Trump did was wrong, Trump should now be able to do the right thing. I believe that is just a simple logic here. Let's forget about Trump's past. Trump is now the president. These are issues that have been raised, and they are evidence of everything. Why can't The View accept that these people did that? They normalize everything, right? It's like it's very normal for people to do that. The way they're saying it, it's insane. If workers are now coming out to say, oh, Tim Walz knew everything that was going on. If you want to speak up, you know, he will threaten, he will do this. You know, these are just things that are coming out. We didn't know about them. For a show like this, I believe they should be fair. Sometimes when they see a wrong thing, they should call it out. But they can't do that. It really baffles me sometimes. I want to appreciate people supporting me, sharing out my videos. I'm called Ransom. People say, oh, you are not an American. You should not be able to talk about American politics. I'm just reporting things happening in and around you. So please, bear with me. So the short clips at the end, that is for the YT algorithm. You can always skip.
Breaking news, 400 government employees over in Minnesota have officially come out and accused Governor Tim Walz of knowing about the government and the welfare system as a whole.
Over 40, he beat Hillary by 41 points.
Right.
And this ain't got nothing to do with color. This ain't got nothing to do with color. It's either God's side or Satan's side.
Politic.
Even getting off.
If the Democrats...
Because how many times do somebody asks?
4.
J.D. Vance should be the next president of the United States. If you want to serve in the American...
Give interviews, I don't do that.
J.D. Vance should be the next president of the United States.
Happening at the moment.
Yeah.
President Obama.
He's blatant censorship.
Because he says he has a team of fact checkers.
The FCC.
Want them to stop fooling around with my right to say what I feel.
Americans, it's a part of who we are.
Because that is really something that didn't happen before.
Does anybody else watch The View? Because I think there's...
I'm going to say one.
Look, there are certain rules of free speech that we must all like.
To have a television show.
To spreading lies.
Somebody to get up there. Not
Said that he doesn't...
Dave Chappelle.
Without of interest.
I mentioned last night Trump was bragging about surprised to see Darth Renner.
Between now...
60 minutes for editing.
RCC. Lee Zeldin.
Will somebody tell the